Hey guys, what's up? Narcoleptic23 here, bringing you my next review. This time it's James Bond, Quantum of Solace. James Bond, Quantum of Solace. I find it funny that they still call it James Bond when they're changing everything about James fucking Bond. My fucking god. This movie should not be called James Bond, okay? Keep the 007. I don't give a shit about the 007. Change James Bond. This isn't James Bond. It's not. At least not the one I grew up with. I don't know about your fucking past, but the James Bond I grew up with was completely different from this James Bond, which I guess is really kind of the point because they're trying to remake Bond. But why the fuck do they need to remake Bond? Bond is Bond. You don't fuck with Bond, all right? You don't remake something that's so ingrained into most people's childhood that it's more important to them than religion, you know? Because James Bond is the fucking shit. James Bond is the thing that, as a kid, you had to watch. You had to watch, you had to love. And you did love, because it was awesome. But now they're changing it. Now they've got this new emotional James Bond that actually seems to give a shit about people. No! This doesn't work at all. Right? Here's the thing, first of all. This movie, Quantum of Solace, continuation from Casino Royale. If you haven't seen Casino Royale, don't you even dare step one fucking foot into that movie theater. Why? Because you ain't gonna understand shit. Rent Casino Royale if you're that interested, then watch Quantum of Solace. Here's the thing. When we talk about Bond, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Super secret fucking agent who goes around fucking the most beautiful women in the world and drinking vodka for no apparent reason. And he's British. He's fucking British. So, here's what they did. Casino Royale, for those of you who haven't seen it, ends up with Bond's girlfriend dying. Bond actually gets a girlfriend. Here's the extent of what I don't understand. Bond falls in love with this girl. I'm going to repeat that for those of you who either don't know what the fuck I'm talking about or are having a mild stroke right about now. Bond falls in love with a girl. Bond does not fall in love. Bond has this congenital disease known as fuck sexy bitches. Alright? This is what he does every single movie. He walks into some random town in some part of the world you've never heard of. He finds the hottest woman who just so happens to be a supermodel who is about 10 times hotter than every single other person that has walked by, fucks her, and then leaves at the end of the movie. He leaves. There's no James Bond, committed husband. James Bond, the diligent boyfriend. Fuck that. There's James Bond, the super devilish, super secret fucking agent that just goes around fucking people. Alright? So now, what do we have? We have this new James Bond, Daniel Craig. And James Bond, I gotta say, is kind of emo in this movie. There's no other way to put it. This entire movie centers around him trying to get revenge for the guy who killed his girlfriend. He's hung up on a woman. If this was any other character, this would be acceptable. But this is Bond. Bond doesn't care. Bond isn't emotional. Bond doesn't feel sadness. Bond is the reason most people get killed and he gets over it. Because he doesn't care. So now we're supposed to, after 20 or 30 Bond movies of this being the original formula, now we're supposed to get used to this brand new Bond in about two movies. Two movies that are continuations of one another. And this is another thing that pisses me off, this continuation crap. Right? Every single Bond movie. Completely irrelevant to the Bond movie that came before it. This was awesome. Because this meant I didn't have to watch all the Sean Connery Bond movies in order to understand all the Pierce Brosnan Bond movies. I didn't have to watch 10 to 15 Bond movies in order to understand another Bond movie. I could just walk into any fucking Bond movie, sit down with my fucking popcorn, which, by the way, I paid like $3.50 for tickets back then. Holy shit, where the fuck has the money gone? But now, I have to actually watch. I have to study. I have to prepare to watch James Bond. No longer can you just walk in to watch James Bond. Fuck that shit. You have to be prepared. You have to have a PhD in Bond to understand these fucking movies. Now I'm gonna tell you, if you haven't seen Casino Royale and you want to see Quantum of Solace, watch Casino Royale. You have to. It's not a choice. You think I'm bullshitting you? You think I'm just saying this to criticize the movie? No, I'm seriously fucking telling you. If you do not watch Casino Royale, you cannot watch Quantum of Solace. It's like it's a requirement. No longer is it money for tickets. No, now it's money for tickets. Oh, and you have to watch every single Bond movie before this one. So, on to the story of the actual movie. Story. I didn't think it was that creative. I didn't think it was such a great fucking story. You know, it's interesting to some degree of interestingness, but it's not the greatest story ever told by Bond. No. Here's the basic story. There's a secret organization who nobody knows about, except for Bond, because he discovered it. And this secret organization is basically behind the killing of his girlfriend. The movie has nothing to do with this organization. The movie has something to do with organizations connected to this organization by people who know people who are connected to that organization. Have I fucked with your mind enough? Don't worry, there's more. So, Bond goes on this 2-hour investigation to find out one little scrap of evidence, but we'll get to that later. Let's talk about the actual story. There's this corporation called Green Plan, run by a Dominic Green. Right? Here's his plan, because originally Bond villains, all they want, conquer the world. It's such a simple fucking goal. But no, now these Bond villains want to, I don't even know what the fuck they want to do. I'm guessing they want to become rich or some shit. Because what this guy does is, he has this giant plan. He's destabilizing the government of Bolivia to bring a disposed dictator back into power. But before he does that, he's going to steal 60% of Bolivia's water supply, hide it in a desert, in an underground cave, underground dam. And then when he actually brings the dictator back to life by bribing the government officials and the military and destabilizing the current government with threats of political, economic, environmental crisis, bring back this deposed regime. Then when he brings them back, he's going to charge them twice as much so they can get clean water to Bolivia. Why does this have to be so fucking complicated? This is Bond, right? Normal Bond. This is normal Bond mission. The story begins. There's a crazy bald man with an evil cat and some nuclear missiles. Bond, stop him, go! 2.5 hours. That was a great fucking movie.